Hello everybody, let me quickly check if we are live on our channel NEET Success Simplified. I think we are not live yet. Yes. Am I audible? Am I audible? I think we are not live yet. Okay. So I am audible. Hello students, welcome to this wonderful channel, the NEET Success Simplified, where a group of educators are on a mission to help you clear NEET 2024 even though you're starting now. So this is just a first lecture where we are introducing the teaching styles that we have. It is not a very hardcore long lecture, okay? It is going to be of 30-40 minutes, but in this video or in this live session, you will get to know my teaching style. You will get to know what you can expect in the coming months or in the coming classes. Okay. So first thing first, who am I? My name is Khadijatul. I have done my master's in zoology with a specialization in immunology, and that's the reason human health and diseases is my favorite chapter, and that's why I have picked that chapter as the first lesson for this particular channel. And before going ahead, I would like to uh, clarify everybody who will watch this video later. You can definitely watch it in 1.5 or 1.75 speed, whatever convenient for you. But even though you watch this video late, I would like to put forward the mission of these series that we are going to upload in this channel. The mission is very simple. It is to help anyone who is starting a little late, for whatever reason it be, to help them clear NEET 2024. Now, if you are starting late, there has to be a strategy to reach the final destination, right? So, the strategy we will follow here is to have a very good quality one shot videos. And by good quality, I mean there we will keep in mind not to give you too much extra information, which we can give or we can impart to students which are currently enrolled in class 11th or class 12th, who have ample time to digest the extra information, process them, okay? But for you people, you need concise, crisp, to the point, and fully NCRT based lectures, right? Now, for example, when we talk about human health and diseases, what I get to see in most YouTube videos is that when they talk about malaria, they give a detailed information about the life cycle of malaria, the detailed information that I was taught when I was in my master's, okay, in parasitology. But that kind of information is not needed for a NEET aspirant. We only need to stick to the terms and to the simple life cycle that is in the NCRT, right? So I'll keep in mind that I stick to the NCRT, not give you not give you the study material that is at the level of PhD, because no one is here to do PhD, right? We all are on a mission to clear NEET 2024. So having said that, since our goal is very clear, the agenda is clear to every one of you, let us dive directly deep into human health and diseases. Now, since we are targeting NEET, we need to know how many questions we can expect in NEET 2024. So on an average, we get 3 questions from this particular chapter. And this chapter is divided into common diseases, immunity, and drug abuse. Okay, So we will discuss a small part of common diseases in this particular class, but the three questions mostly comes from immunity and diseases. Okay, and even in diseases, every year there is a trend of question that asks about the name of the pathogen, or fill in the blanks, or match the following of different diseases. They will list different diseases on one side and the pathogen that causes the disease on the other side, and you can expect for sure a question like that. So whatever we are going to discuss today, there are very high chances that you will get questions from this particular part. Okay, so let us move ahead and start this chapter, human health and diseases. So since we talk about disease and health, it is very important for us to understand who actually initiated the treatment or the medicines for all the diseases. Okay, there has to be someone who initiated it, right? So, okay, pause for a second because the flight is going above our head and it's too much noise. Okay, count till 5 and it will be gone. Okay. So, human health and diseases has to talk about Hippocrates, because when you become a doctor and you take the first oath, that is actually the Hippocrates oath. He is known as the father of medicine. Father of medicine, Hippocrates. Now, before the time of Hippocrates, in the ancient time, anyone who used to fall sick, he was thought to be captured, or he was thought to be punished by some evil deity, or some believed that he was punished by God because of some evil thing he did, right? But then, in such a society, Hippocrates came in and he said that no, anyone who is not well, who is ill, uh, has imbalance in their body fluid. Let me write imbalance in the body fluid. Body fluid. Now, when we talk about the body fluid, what comes to our mind? Blood, right? But when we talk about body fluid, there are other fluids in our body as well. Apart from blood, we have phlegm. Phlegm is the fluid that comes out when you cough. Okay. Then we have black bile and yellow bile. Okay. He also said that anyone who has an excess of black bile will have will be a very hot personality, and he may also have fever. Okay, this is what Hippocrates told us, or enlightened us with. Now, you may find it very funny that oh come on, how can imbalance of any body fluid cause illness? This is such a rubbish idea. But think about it. It was in the ancient time when all the people that existed believed that illness is all because of some punishment from God. And in that time, coming up with such solid thing that it is not anyone punishing any human being, it is not because of some evil deity that we are not able to see, it is actually an imbalance of the body fluid that exists within human body. It was a very big step at that time, and that is the reason he is called the father of medicine. And of course, he has done a lot in the field of medicine, or has uh, put the foundation stone of a lot of different stuff in the field of medicine. When you get enrolled into MBBS, you will read about it. Okay. So, having said that, uh, it was for a very long time believed that yes, having an imbalance in any of these fluid can cause illness, until William Harvey, this gentleman, came into picture. So this gentleman, he came in and he said that hey, It's actually blood circulation. Blood circulation. Blood circulation is something that in which the blood moves from our head to toe and pumped through our blood, and it is circulating in our entire body, and that a person, and he also discovered, and he also used the thermometer for the first time. Okay, thermometer. And he said that, hey, even when a person has an excess black bile, even then, if you measure his body temperature, he will have the normal body temperature like any other person. So it is not an imbalance of these body fluids. And we have a blood circulation in our body. And with the help of thermometer, he said that anyone who has an imbalance might also have a normal body temperature. Okay, and having fever is not because of an extra or excess black bile in the body. Okay, so he cancelled the good humor hypothesis given by Hippocrates. Oh, what is good humor hypothesis? The one that we just discussed, that a person with an imbalance of any of these fluid will be sick or will be ill. Okay, this was the good humor hypothesis of Hippocrates. And again, if you're wondering why is he using the term humor here, well, humor in science also means fluid. Okay, fluid. You must have studied in physiology that there is something called vitreous humor in our eye. What is that? That is a semi-solidy substance, a liquid that's present in our eyes. Humor means fluid. Okay, so Hippocrates came up with this. William Harvey, he discovered blood circulation, and then he said that it's not actually an imbalance of all these things, and he discarded the good humor hypothesis. Let me use another color. It's too much of red here, right? So he discarded good humor hypothesis. Okay, now if imbalance of all these things is not illness, he discovered blood circulation, then what actually is illness, or what actually is disease? Okay, what actually is disease? Well, if you are not able to answer what disease is, will it be easy for you to answer what a disease-free human is? Is this person you're seeing here, is he disease-free? What do you think? Is he disease-free? No, right? We cannot say a person with who is very muscular as a disease-free person. He may have a lot of muscle, but then you may have seen this muscular person beating up people on the road. And who can do that? Someone whose this thing is not working very properly. So if the main processing unit of your body is not working properly, will you call that person healthy? No, right? So a person can be muscular. He could be a gym freak, and he could, have a lot of muscle in his body. You can call him a very well-built personality, but he can still be a sick person or a diseased person because his mental health is not fine. So a person could be called healthy when he has a healthy body with a healthy mind. Only then he can be a happy human, and that is when we call a person a healthy or disease free person. Okay, and World Health Organization has given us a definition which is very important because it is given in our NCERT textbook. Okay, so it's important for us to know the definition. So it says that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So yes, physical health is important. We know that. If you have pain in your back, if you have pain in your legs, you just deny going upstairs through the stairs and you always take the lift, then there is a problem in your physique. Okay, then mental, again, I just explained about this bodybuilder. If he is someone who go and beat up people unnecessarily just to show his muscular physique, he has a mental problem, right? He has a problem in his head. So that person cannot be called healthy. And again, what do we understand by social well-being? When uh, it can happen that you do not like somebody in your school. Okay, it could happen. And you may not like someone in your neighborhood. That's possible, right? But is it possible that you do not like anyone in your class? Is it possible that you hate all your teachers? Is it possible that you hate all your neighbors? um, in relatives, we often don't like few of our relatives, right? But is it possible that you hate all of them? Is it possible that you do not like anyone in and around you, in your family, your relatives, your neighbors, your friends at school? If that is your case, that means it's not a problem with them. There's a problem with you, right? You should be socially very approachable. You should be a very easy to approach person. You should be feeling really good when in a social gathering, right? So if you have that capacity or that quality, only then we say that you are a healthy person. In the era of social media, where even in a gathering, even in a wedding or a birthday party or any social gathering, we sit with our phone in our hand and we stare at our phone even though we have people around us to sit and talk. So nowadays, social well-being is, I guess, the most difficult to attain, you know. But yeah, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being. And this definition is given to us by the World Health Organization. And also, there is a very important line given in our NCERT. Let me write that it is very important with red color. That this is very important because it says that mind through our neural system. Okay, neural system, our brain is made up of all different neurons, right? It's the headquarter of the neural system. Mind through the neural system and endocrine system, the system that releases all your hormones. We'll study about them when we discuss endocrine system in detail. It's again a very interesting topic. So mind through neural system and endocrine system influences our immune system. And I need not tell you how important immune system is. COVID has taught us what immunity is, how important immunity is, right? Again, pause for 2 seconds. The flight is gone. Okay, so mind through our neural system and endocrine system influences our immune system. And when our immune system is affected, our health is affected. Because immune system are like the police force or the armed forces that are at our borders, at the who are guarding our country. If they are weak, anyone can infiltrate into our country, right? So we need to keep our immune system really very strong, right? Through yoga, through meditation, eating healthy food, right? Having having good wake and sleep cycle, right? So this is a very important line from NCERT, and you may be asked questions from here that mind through neural system and endocrine system, what it influences? Our immune system. And immune system maintains health. Okay. Now, how to achieve good health is also given in our NCERT. Let's quickly go through this chart. It says that we need to have balanced diet, personal hygiene, regular exercise and yoga, awareness about diseases and their effect. So when you become doctors, it's a request from my end that you will be allotted in rural areas in your internship. Okay. So if you secure a seat in the government medical colleges, you will be asked to serve in the rural area for at 7 to 8 months or a year. Okay, at that time you should go and organize a lot of awareness camps, because it is in the rural areas of our nation there are a lot of what do you say very superstitious beliefs still going on, and they are not ready to take vaccines. If we saw this during the time of COVID, right? They were repelling the idea of taking vaccines. They keep their girls out during their menstruation. So there are a lot of superstitious beliefs still going on, which is unhealthy, which is not taking our society up, right? So create a lot of awareness programs. And then vaccination and immunization, we know how important those are. Again, COVID taught us all, right? Then proper disposal of waste and control of vectors. Well, I'll come to control of vectors in a short while, but before that, let's go to something which people don't much talk about, but I want to talk about this here. I'll just take few seconds, but I want to talk about personal hygiene. You people are in your teenage, you are putting your whole heart and soul and preparing for NEET 2024. And it so happens I have seen this thing happening in my hostel when I was in my university days, that someone, if he or she is preparing for a particular competitive exam, they would indulge themselves so much into their studies that they would not take a bath, they would not change their bed sheets, they would not wash their clothes. But my dear, you have no idea how good taking a bath is for your own mental health. Taking a cold shower relaxes your mind and makes it, restarts your mind to work more efficiently. Every time your phone hangs, what you do? The first thing you do is restart it, right? Taking a cold shower and wearing a fresh pair of clothes, all these are very necessary for your body, for your soul. When you're clean, when you're tidy, when you're all freshened up, you will be able to soak in information better, right? So maintain personal hygiene when you're preparing for your NEET exam, okay? Then coming back to the very important part of this chart, which is control of vectors. What are vectors? Vectors are like vehicles. What they do? They carry some bad, this is a bad infection causing pathogen, or let me just write agent, bad infection causing agent, and they leave it onto human body. And how? They could go into your mouth through food. Sorry, what just happened? Let me take an eraser. Okay, pen, there you go. Okay, this vehicle is a vector. Vector means what? Something that would carry a bad infection causing agent and would go and leave it maybe on your food. Okay, and when you ingest that food, that bad infection causing agent will get entry into your body. So no matter how muscular you are going to fall sick, right? So vectors could be mosquitoes, could be house flies, it could be anything. They take up these infections from human stool, from uh, dump yards, okay, and they would go and sit on your uncovered food, or mosquitoes may suck your blood and leave the pathogens or the infections into your body. So they have multiple routes through which they can infect a human. Okay, so control of vectors. So how do we control vectors? We would not let any stagnant water remain in and around our area, right? We will sanitize our area properly. Just how nicely and cleanly we keep our own home, we need to keep our surroundings clean as well, and that way we can control vectors. But there, even after you do all this, your body, even after, sorry, your body can still be diseased, because health can also be affected by genetic disorders. Now, can you do anything about genetic disorders? The answer is no. You have been gifted with that disorder right from birth. But here, one thing I would like to add, which is very important, is, where has it gone? Something very important. Look, we will study about genetic disorder in detail in the chapter genetics. Harsh sir, I guess, has already started genetics. You will get to know wonderful, no, I shouldn't say wonderful actually, you will get to see weird genetic diseases in that particular chapter. But when we talk about genetic diseases, there are some which is very clearly visible right from birth, right? Right from birth, maybe a deformed hand or something which is genetic, right? So some disorders are visible right from birth, but some disorders, they are not visible, but when they get the correct environment, they display themselves. For example, you will be able to understand this better with this example. Let's say your grandfather, let's say your grandfather had a gene, he had a gene of cancer. Okay, he had a gene of cancer. Now, uh, this thing didn't show up in your father. Your father was cancer free. Okay, but then what you did, you started chewing tobacco, you started smoking. Okay, and it got this gene got the environment to be, phenotypically exposed, and that is when you may get cancer. Now, there would be no use to sit and say that, hey, Ramesh also had been, indulging in tobacco smoking, he was chewing a betel nut, he was doing this, that, but he didn't get cancer, because maybe he don't have the gene. He will get cancer eventually if he continues to do that for years, but since you already have a gene from your forefathers, your body responded to this environment very quickly, right? So even if you have a bad gene in your pedigree tree, it is very much possible to control it if it is not exposed by birth, by maintaining a balanced diet, personal hygiene, regular exercise and yoga, and all this different stuff, right? Vaccination, immunization, and all this different stuff. And again, after genetic disorder, we can also be diseased by infection. We discussed about how vector can give you an infection, right? And then lifestyle. Lifestyle, again, you may think that, hey, come on, this is such a silly thing. We don't have to bother about lifestyle. But lifestyle diseases are the most widely spread diseases nowadays. Just think about it. Initially, in the ancient time, people had to go for hunting and then catch a wild animal to have their dinner, right? And how much physical exercise or physical activity was needed for that thing? Can you imagine? There was a lot, right? To run after a wild animal and kill it and then come back home, cook and eat it, it required a lot of physical activity. And that is what we humans are made for, right? We are capable of doing that much physical activity. Gradually, we started to farm and then we started growing our own crops, and then we kept, what do you call, we gathered our crops and then started having them all throughout the year, right? Our physical labor reduced, but working in the field also require a lot of physical labor. Then in the times of our parents, they had to go to office every single day, right? uh, and what they did there, they would work definitely, but then most of the time they had to sit in the table and chair and work, right? And now in our times, we wake up, we don't even have to travel to an office, we can sit at home and work. The physical labor is reducing every single day, right? And that is what is causing the lifestyle diseases. Our lifestyle has become so stagnant. Every now and then you will hear instances of heart failure of very young child. You will hear instances of obesity. Oh my god, obesity is everywhere, from a 5-year old kid to an old person. Everyone is becoming obese now because there is no requirement of physical labor nowadays. You can order your food, you can order your groceries sitting at home. So life has become easy, but you know when something comes easy, you also have to pay a cost for it, and our health is the cost for that easy lifestyle. Okay, now deep into before we delve deep into the different diseases in this particular chapter, it is important for us to understand few terminologies. When we say pathogen, what do we understand? All these weird looking microorganisms, right? Virus, bacteria, protozoa, fungi, all these different organisms. But then what are parasites then? Are they the same? Well, parasites and pathogens, both the term can be used for anything, any microorganism that has the capacity to cause disease is called a pathogen or a parasite. But these two are different terms, right? And again, you must be aware of another term called pathogenicity. What is that now? It's so confusing. Well, first let's talk about what pathogens are. Simple. Any microorganism that has the capacity to cause disease is called a pathogen, and they cause pathogenicity. The disease that they will cause, or the discomfort they will cause, is called the pathogenicity. Now, bacteria can cause typhoid, pneumonia, okay, diphtheria. There are a lot of diseases that bacteria can cause. But then again, we have a lot of bacteria in our gut, right? Now, why is that not causing us a disease? Well, if you study further, you will understand that we have more microorganisms in our body than our actual body cells. Body cells. The total body cells we have these bacteria actually outnumbers them. Yes, sorry, this is, where is it? Eraser, pen. Okay, this bacteria is more than the body cells. So why are we not sick, or why are we not diseased every time? Because not all bacteria can cause the pathogenicity. Not all bacteria does that. Not all microorganisms does that. Some are good. Some helps us in digesting our food. We will study about it in the chapter digestion. So those bacteria or those microorganisms that can cause pathogenicity are called pathogens. Now, they are also often called as parasites. Now, read this. The term parasite can be applied to any infectious agent. Okay, these bacteria, virus can also be called a parasite, but by convention, it is generally restricted to infections caused by protozoa and helminth. It is mostly the protozoans and helminths that causes us disease. We call them parasites. So when we talk about the protozoa and parasite, plasmodium that causes malaria, we will refer to it as a parasite. Okay. Now these parasites, if they live outside the body, we call it infestation. For example, the louse that resides in the hair, that is a parasite because that sucks our blood, right? But it resides outside the body. So when they get into your hair by chance, we call it that your hair is infested with louse or lice. But then if something gets into your body, into your digestive system or into your blood, and it is an endoparasite, we say that you are infected. We call it an infection. So I hope these basic terminologies are clear and we can move ahead to the first disease of this human health and diseases. Oh no, we have to talk about the different types of disease first. Okay, let's do that. We have already discussed about it a little bit. Diseases can be divided into two. Number one is acquired disease and number two is congenital disease. So congenital simply means the genetic disorders. We will not discuss about this in human health and diseases. We have to study about genetic disorders in detail in the chapter genetics, okay? But then what are acquired diseases? Acquired diseases could be of two types. One which is communicable and the other which is not communicable. Communicable are the ones which you can transmit from one person to the other person number two. Okay, and non-communicable simply means it cannot be transmitted from person number one to person number two. It cannot be transmitted. Okay, simple, right? Now, can you tell me what AIDS is? AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. What is AIDS? Is it a communicable disease or a non-communicable disease? Well, you must have heard that if you shake hands with an AIDS patient, you will not get AIDS, right? So that means it is a non-communicable disease. But then if you have any sexual contact with a person who has AIDS, you will get AIDS. So it is a communicable disease. So much confusion, right? Let me help you clear the confusion. Anytime you see or hear or talk about a disease which is caused by pathogens, which is caused by pathogens is always a communicable disease. AIDS is a viral disease, right? AIDS is caused by a virus. That's why it is a communicable disease. And again, if you talk about other viral diseases like common cold, if you get common cold, you are asked not to come to class, right? Because you may spread it to your friends who sits near you, right? So any pathogen, any disorder caused by pathogen will be communicable disease. It could be a viral, um, it could be a helminth infection, it could be bacterial infection, it could be fungal infection. If it is caused by any pathogen, it is a communicable disease. And when it comes to non-communicable diseases are the ones which are not transmitted through pathogens. Okay, for example, the highest number of cases of non-communicable disease is from this particular disorder. Cancer, all different kinds of cancer is a non-communicable disease. Okay, and it is not caused by pathogens. For example, if you take in a lot of sugar in your diet, at some point you may get diabetes, right? But that doesn't mean that you can pass on diabetes to your friend. Okay, another example is high BP, hypertension. If you are someone who stresses about small things a lot, you may get high BP, or there are other reasons of high BP as well. But if that happens, you cannot give away that high blood pressure problem to someone else, to your friend or to your enemy. You cannot do that because it is non-communicable. Okay, so the two examples of communicable and non-communicable respectively that you need to remember is AIDS for communicable and cancer for non-communicable, because these are the very probable questions for NEET. Okay, and it has been asked once that is AIDS a communicable or a non-communicable disease, and people often gets confused. So always remember, when you are asked either a disease is communicable or not communicable, uh, pause for a second and think about, is this disease caused by any pathogen? If yes, it is communicable. If no, it is not communicable. Alright, so finally we will move towards the first disease. The first disease that we are going to talk about in this chapter, which is typhoid. So typhoid again is a bacterial disease. Bacterial disease. Now questions, when we talk about questions in NEET, most of the time the questions are around what is the name of the pathogen that is causing this disease. Okay, what is the mode of infection, and which body part it infects. Okay, body part it infects. These three are the very important points to be noted or to be studied when we study any disease from this particular chapter. Now, for typhoid, I have separated the entire paragraph that is in the NCERT into certain points, into important questions and the information. Okay, so first is, what causes typhoid? Salmonella typhi. For every disease, I want you to make a chart like this. Okay, it could be more interesting and more interactive than this one. Well and good if you can do that, but at least I feel like these questions and these answers will help you quickly go through those long paragraphs of NCERT. Okay, first is, what causes typhoid? This pathogen, Salmonella typhi. you will get a lot of different pathogen names. There is there is no way out. We have to remember these names. And if you revise it once and twice and practice questions, you will be able to grasp these names really quickly. Okay. Second is, how can you get it? We get it through contaminated food and water. Every time you get out of your coaching center and you go back home, on the way you like to have these golgappas or pani puris or puchkas, whatever you call in your own mother tongue. So when you eat those things, those food and water that you ingest may be contaminated with Salmonella typhi. Now, how do you know that a person has typhoid? Well, through blood test. Okay, blood test, and the name of the test is given in your NCRT, which is the Whittle test. Okay, since the name is mentioned in your NCRT, it is important. And why is it called Whittle test? Because it is discovered by the scientist George Whittle. Okay, then next, what does it affect? It affects the small intestine first, and then it goes and affects other body organs. Now, what are the symptoms? What happens in typhoid? A person has sustained very high fever, he has weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache, loss of appetite. These are the symptoms of typhoid. And how bad it can get, I mean, if someone has severe infection of Salmonella typhi, what is the worst possible scenario we can imagine? That the intestinal perforation, that means the intestine layer could be destroyed. A pore can be formed there. Pore can be formed, which is called intestinal perforation, finally causing death of the person. Imagine this tiny microorganism, bacteria, which went inside your body through the contaminated food and water, can even lead to death if not treated or if not taken to a doctor at the right time. So this is the first bacterial disease. In my next class, I would come up with a short note which you can download in the form of PDF, where I'll make a chart of all the diseases with these questions on one side and these answers on the other side. So if you like this pattern, you can definitely download that PDF. Okay. Next disease is pneumonia. I am looking at the time again and again because I have a class in the app at 10 p.m. today. So if you are someone who is watching this video now, or if you're someone who is interested in learning further about this particular topic, you can join me live in the app, which is a free class that you will be receiving. And you don't have to pay anything. You just have to log into the Unacademy website, go to the go to the search button and type Khadijatul Kubra, this name here, and search for the special class that would be from 10 p.m. Okay, I have 10 more minutes and we can quickly complete few more diseases. So second is again a bacterial disease, pneumonia. It is caused by bacteria. And then let's come to the important questions and information. What causes pneumonia? Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Now here students get confused a lot by the name Haemophilus influenzae. They think that this causes influenza they confuse it with the influenza virus quite often, and they think that it is a virus or something. But Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae causes pneumonia. What exactly is pneumonia? Well, in this, the lungs or the alveoli of the lungs get affected. The lower part of the lungs, especially this part of the lungs, get affected, and fluid accumulation take place in the alveoli. And since this area becomes fluid filled, it's a nutrient medium for bacteria to grow even further, and the fluid restricts the efficient exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen in this respiratory, what you call, membrane, right? So a person finds it really difficult to inhale. How can you get it? By inhaling droplets or aerosols sharing contaminated utensils. Of course, we should not use utensils which is already used. We should be proper that they should be properly sterilized before we consume food in any utensil. But again, something which again needs awareness, and the awareness has been spread during the time of COVID, that how we should sneeze, how we should cover our mouth. But people we see often do not follow these basic etiquettes, and they end up giving us, or they end up giving people in their surrounding infections. So aerosol simply means uh, the droplets that is in the air when you sneeze very loudly, or when you cough very loudly without covering your nose or your mouth. You release a lot of microorganism with phlegm, and that stays suspended in the air for some time, and someone else inhales that air and gets infected. Okay, what does it affect? Alveoli in the lungs. What are the symptoms? You a person gets fever, chills, cough, headache, liquid filled alveoli in the lungs, which we discussed. And how bad it can get? Well, a person may turn grayish blue. His nails and lips may turn grayish blue, and he might have respiratory distress. He might feel a congestion in his chest. He might find it difficult breathing. So, this is pneumonia. Okay, moving ahead, there are two other names of bacterial diseases in the NCERT. One is bacteria, and bacteria. Okay, there are two more diseases mentioned in your NCERT, and only the names are given. There is no detailed discussion about it, but you never know. NTA may pick up these names and may ask questions, right? So we need to be prepared. So let's talk only about the name of the pathogen and the symptoms that this particular disease cause. The pathogen is Corynebacterium diphtheria in case of diphtheria. Easy, right? Because it has the word diphtheria already in it. So it will be easily recognizable. Corynebacterium diphtheria. Symptoms are high-grade fever, affects throat, difficulty breathing, heart rhythm problems, and death. Well, you it's not necessary that you learn these symptoms, because it's not there in your NCERT, but it's important for you to know what diphtheria is. There is a bacterial growth in this part of the mouth, in the inside of the mouth. This is an animated picture. The actual pictures, you can Google them. They are actually very gross. There is such accumulation of bacteria and bacterial growth happening in the upper part of your esophagus, which causes pain and difficulty breathing. That is diphtheria. Okay, and it is caused by Corynebacterium diphtheria. Next is plague. Plague is also known as the Black Death, because it has at some time, um, destroyed a large part of Europe by its infection. And what causes this plague? Yersinia pestis. This bacteria causes plague. Now, what are the symptoms? Okay, symptoms are here actually. These are the symptoms. And this Yersinia pestis, it actually resides as as a pathogen to rat flea. Let's say this is a rat. Ding ding ding. This is his tail. Okay. Now this rat will have some ticks on his body. We call it rat flea. Okay. It will have rat flea on its body, and these are just like ticks that we get to see on the body of dogs. Okay, this rat flea will have Yersinia pestis infection. Okay, and from these rats, if we allow these rats to reside in the nook and corner of our house, or we somehow get in touch with these rats that has these rat flea who are infected with Yersinia pestis, they may give it to us. Okay, we may get infected, and these Yersinia pestis, they will go and infect the lymph nodes. And what is there in our lymph nodes? They actually have a lot of immune cells in them, and the immune cells are the fighters of our body. They would not allow anything bad, anything fishy to get inside our body, right? So when they get to see these Yersinia pestis getting into our body, they would fight. They would fight like crazy, okay? And uh, in the process, these Yersinia pestis will also die. Our immune cells will also die, causing a swelling in the lymph nodes. Okay, it is extremely painful swelling. So there is high fever because of infection, enlargement of axillary lymph nodes, especially the ones under the armpits. Then the person has red patches that appears on the skin, which gradually turns black and cause death. And that is the reason we call it Black Death. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock now. I will join a special class on the app, which will be a free class. You can join the live classes that will happen for free. You just need to type Khadijatul, which is my name, on the app, and you'll be able to watch free classes free of cost. Okay, but before I end this video, let me tell you a little about diphtheria again. We in India, we are given um, diphtheria DPT, a vaccine when we are born, right? We are given a vaccine called DPT, which is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. These three vaccines are given to us, and that's the reason we don't get to see diphtheria uh, any more prevalent in and around us. Okay, it has already been taken care of. Plague again is something which is taken care of. We don't get to see them often. It's almost eradicated. Okay, and talking about plaque again, we see that bubonic plaque infects your lymph nodes, septicemic plaque is in your blood, and pneumonic plaque affects your lungs. Well, you don't need to go into the depth of all this, but if you ever happen to see these terminologies, don't get confused and don't think that these are alien words. These are all related to plaque. I have mentioned them here only to help you recognize these words and not consider them alien when you appear your NEET exams and they are by chance asked or given as a option in any particular question. Okay, so these were these four: diphtheria, plague, pneumonia, and typhoid are the four bacterial diseases that are asked that are mentioned in our NCERT. Okay, so this was the bacterial diseases, and we have covered the bacterial disease from the common disease part. In the next class, we will talk about the fungal disease, the protozoan disease, helminth disease, and the viral diseases. Okay, and we will also discuss the previous year questions, and I'll also come up with a short note with a chart in which you will get all the diseases in a tabular form, which will be very helpful in your revision. I hope you enjoyed the class today. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock. And I hope you join the class tomorrow and, benefited and benefit yourself with the amazing session that I'll come up with tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.